Hey, how's it going, Dule?
Okay. I'm good. How about
Thanks
you?
for good. Thanks for joining us in Musica Mezcal.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Nice seeing you
Yeah, I'll
guys.
give you a little cheers
Cheers.
from over here. I was thinking on my way here, how long you and I have known each other.
I was thinking maybe 10 years, 10 or 9.
10 years, yeah. Do you remember where we met?
No, I don't remember.
We met at the Reef.
The Reef.
Do you remember when you DJ'd at the Reef?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there when you would do like 1 day a week DJing there.
Oh.
Under Chelsea, like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. All right. On commercial, right?
On commercial.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But you were not that long, were you?
I was only there for 3 months, and then I actually, when I started there, I got a job at Guilt, like a month or two into working there, and I was working the door at Guilt, and I was serving at the Reef, and then when I got a full-time serving job at Guilt, I quit the Reef and started working at Guilt, and then it was like years later that I met you again at Guilt when you were DJing at Guilt for Ground Up.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, my memory is so bad.
I know. So is mine. I was just like trying to put the pieces together and be like, how long have I known this cat? It's been 10 years.
Oh yeah. Actually, that means it's been more than 10 years then if we met.
Has it?
Yeah. If we met at the Reef, that means it's been more than 10 years for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was long. I don't even think that place is there anymore.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think
it's an Indian store, like an Indian restaurant.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how long have you been DJing specifically at Guilt?
10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that was. Did you start with Ground Up there, and then move into the weekends?
Yeah. I started as like 1 day a week. Then I think a year later, started doing weekends.
Yeah. How long? What's your background in DJing? Like, where did you get your start?
Okay, so I grew up with like DJs. Like all my friends were DJs back in Calgary, and I always collected records with them, hung out with them, and I just didn't need to be a DJ there because all my friends were DJs. So when I moved to Vancouver, just wanted to hear the music that I used to hear back in Calgary because nobody was playing the same kind of music. So I was like, I got the records. I might as well just start DJing. So I started DJing at Wazubi's downtown. I think Wazubi's downtown. And
That must have been, how long ago was that?
Man, like
That was a while ago.
Probably 15.
15, yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah. Do you still got quite the extensive vinyl collection?
Yes, I got rid of a lot of my singles, so I have mostly albums.
When's the last time? Do you still do vinyl gigs at all? When's the last time you did a vinyl gig?
Man. Last time I did a vinyl gig, what was that? I think it was at Subi's.
Yeah.
That was the last
What
time
would it take to get Dule to break out the vinyls and do a vinyl gig?
I couldn't do it. No, man, just carrying the vinyl like records all over the place. It's just too heavy and
It's just not copacetic. Yeah.
I think I might have played some vinyl at guilt&co when I first started because they used to have turntables.
Yeah.
Turntables and a mixer back then.
I think one of them's in my apartment right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't hook it up to my sound bar, and it's driving me nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You've done a lot of work in the film industry as well, right?
Yes.
What kind of how'd you get your start there?
I went to film school.
Where'd you go?
PAVI, like Pacific Audiovisual Institute. It used to be on 8th and Ontario.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It was there for probably like 7 years or so. It wasn't there for long at all. So yeah, I went to film school, and after finished school, I started working in the film industry. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do on film sets?
I started as a PA, just like everybody else. Gripped. I was a grip for like a little bit. Then I did some set deck and visual effects for a long time, and I just couldn't do the hours anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
the
tough hours.
and yeah, I just everything about the film industry kind of got me jaded.
Yeah.
I'm still still work in film, but not directly. I work for CBC, and a lot of film crews come and rent the studio at the CBC though. So that's how I'm kind of still involved in that film, but not directly. So
And another hat that you wear is behind the camera. You're a photographer as well.
yes.
Is there sort of where you're at right now in terms of artistically your passion? Are you focused? Do you find yourself more focused on photography or DJing or both, or trying to meld those two worlds in terms of music and photography?
DJing is just a hobby that I just kind of fell into, and I don't like DJing anywhere else other than guilt&co.
Right.
For people to get me to DJ somewhere else is just, I just don't like it. The reason why is because I get to play whatever I want at guilt&co, and some other places I find that they want me to play a certain type of music just to get the crowd going.
Right, like corporate gigs or weddings and stuff like that. Yeah.
So guilt&co, this is where I go to experiment and play whatever I want.
You also get to say no when people come up to you and ask you if they can request a song.
Yeah.
Like, no, you can't.
So that's my hobby job, and photography has been it's been my love lately. I love it. I just love taking photos, and I'm on my way to making it a career. So hopefully one day it'll just be my career. I won't be working at CBC. I'll be self-employed and strictly doing photography.
Is there a specific field in photography that you are really passionate about? In terms of
Taking portraits. My goal, I want to get into like exhibit my photos. You know what I mean? Like I have an exhibition right now at Calabash. That's my first exhibition, but and I'm hoping to get into more galleries. So that's what I want to do. I'm not really interested in doing wedding photos or anything like that. It's headshots, portraits, and strictly for like myself, my art.
Yeah, but doing headshots, so you just got that 1 foot still back in the film industry.
Yeah.
Now you're still dealing with actors.
Yeah. That's one thing I can do, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part of the film industry I can do.
Yeah.
Taking photos of actors.
And you have an exhibit currently going on at Calabash?
Yes.
How long does that exhibit go?
Till whenever, probably like 2 more months or so.
Sweet. So anyone can anytime they go into Calabash, they can see your your work there?
Yeah, upstairs, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, like on the main floor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Calabash is in Gastown on Carroll Street?
Yeah.
Like just
Between
off of Pender, between Pender and Hastings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic joint.
Yeah.
You are originally from Johannesburg.
Yeah,
right? And you've been in Canada
since 1988.
88. Yeah.
I lived in Calgary before that, and
so that would have made you pretty quite a young man when you moved to Calgary, right?
Yeah. I was 14.
14. Yeah. Did you move out here with your family?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about like that transition coming from Johannesburg and the sort of the musical and cultural influences you picked up there, and coming into Calgary, and how that
Okay.
sort of brought you into music in Calgary.
Yeah. So I grew up in a family where my dad loved music. My music was always playing back home. A lot of jazz, a lot of African jazz, and American jazz, a lot of soul, Stevie Wonder, like everything. A lot of music that I play at Guild, I was listening to it since I was young, and I hated it back then. I hated jazz. For me, it was boring. When you're a kid, jazz is just whatever. It's boring. And classical. My dad loved classical music. I hated classical music. This is like back in South Africa, and the radio too was really really good. So grew up listening to like funk. A lot of African funk, African jazz, traditional music. It was always music. I was always surrounded by music. But none of my family played instruments, but it was just listening to music. So when I moved to Canada, I moved to Calgary, which was a culture shock. A lot of kids were not listening to the same kind of music I was listening to. At the time, I did not know hip hop, because back home, back in South Africa in '88, there was no rap at all. Like, we didn't listen to any rap.
Right. Yeah.
So when I first moved here, there was just rock, and I just felt out of place musically. But I made real good friends when I was young. But when it came to music, I was like, oh, okay, everybody's listening to rock, and I couldn't get into it. When we went to parties, it was, rock. And I remember the first, I remember hearing New Kids on the Block. Is it New Kids on the Block? Yeah, they came out around there.
They were the right stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right stuff.
So I was just kind of like, wait, oh, this is kind of, maybe I could listen to this. Then I got into more New Edition. I don't know if you know New Edition. And then later on, I got into hip hop, like Public Enemy, LL Cool J. Those were my first introductions to hip hop.
The giants of the early '90s.
Yeah.
911's a joke, and Burn Hollywood Burn.
Yeah.
I remember that. I had that tape.
Oh yeah.
My brother had it actually.
Yeah. I had the biggest collections of tapes. So then, eventually, I met a lot of people, some people that were into the same kind of music I was into, and that was cool. So I started making tapes, mixtapes. Yeah, I was the king of mixtapes. Everybody came to me for mixtapes because I had a big selection of cassette tapes, and my dad had brought a trunk full of records from Africa, from South Africa to Calgary. So I would record some of the records, just make mixtapes, and that was awesome. And then high school, mid high school, I started meeting guys that were DJs, and I was just like, okay, these are my people. And back then, Calgary had some really good DJs, and that's how that's when my club going started. I started going to clubs back then, probably around 16.
Back when you could still get into a club at 16?
No, we had fake IDs.
Yeah. No, I mean, you could get into it. You can't get in anywhere with a fake ID anymore. I feel so bad for the younger generation.
Yeah.
Man, when I was a kid, this shit was easy.
Yeah, it was so easy.
They didn't care.
Yeah.
That's clearly your uncle.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So from then, I lived with DJs. Yeah, it was just music. So yeah, so I moved to Vancouver, and I was like, oh, well, all the good DJs. There were some good DJs, but it wasn't enough for me. So I was like, oh, I might as well study.
Might as well just start doing it.
Yeah.
Play what I want to hear.
Yeah. I was. I wasn't a skilled DJ. I'm not a skilled DJ at all. But one thing that I knew I had, and I know I have, is a good selection of music.
And an extensive knowledge.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back around because you mentioned mixtapes.
Yeah.
Which were like it's a dead art form, but it was because anyone can make a playlist, right? And then and it's like now you just like auto generate a playlist, or like you put on Spotify and you pick a radio, and we're all just so lazy. But back in the day, especially before high speed dubbing, back in the day, to make a mixtape, you had to listen to every single song and you had to record it in real time.
Yeah.
And then it took me forever to figure out, or like when tape decks, because they didn't always have a pause button. When they came out with the pause button and you could pause the recording as opposed to hitting stop, and then it eliminated that little click in between tracks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one does it anymore. I actually found like 4 blank cassette tapes. At my parents' old house, not that long ago. I was like, holy shit! I bought these things like fucking 15 years ago, and I gave them to a friend, the only person I know who still has a tape deck. But do you still have any tapes?
No, I gave them away. Yeah, and I wish I kept them. And this was like recently too. This was probably like 5 years ago. I was like, I'm gonna give these away because I'm not using them.
Yeah.
But
is there a pang of regret there? Do you wish you still had them?
Yeah. And I'm sure somebody out there still got them because I gave a lot away. I just gave them away. I'd make them and give them away.
Did you used to make them just for people, just like make a mixtape and give them away?
No.
Yeah. You just
right
had
now,
a bunch and
I had a bunch and I gave them away. But
so
now,
if anyone's got a Dule mixtape, you gotta buy her right here. As long as it comes with a tape deck.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but yeah.
Yeah, if you could make a rough guesstimate with how many mixtapes do you think that you've made in your life? Specifically mixtapes.
I would say into probably like 200s. Yeah.
Did you notice when everything started going off of analog and off of vinyl, was there a definitive switch to digital in the industry with like your friends who were DJing, or did it happen much more gradually?
So vinyl was always there. Like vinyl has always been there. But what changed from cassette tapes was that CDs came in, and I was like one of the last people to use a CD. I was buying everything on tape. Then I started noticing that a lot of albums did not come out in tapes. They only came in CDs.
They're only coming in CDs.
So I was just like, oh, fuck. Now I gotta like...
You finally had to make the switch.
Yeah, I had to switch, but it took me a long time. People were like, oh, you still using tapes? I'm like, yeah, why not? And like the Walkmans were like getting obsolete now. I was like, what's going on?
Well, the first like 5-10 years with maybe not 10 years, but the first 5 years with Discmans, they were hunks of junk. You couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You had to like, if you put it in your backpack, you had to like prop it in the top of the backpack, like flat, and then cushion it all the way around. You have to put like your gym clothes on top of it and like a pillow underneath it, just so it wouldn't skip when you were walking around.
I hate
You'd be
it.
in the car like trying to listen to your Discman in the back of the car while your parents were driving, just like holding it like this, like don't skip. And then they came out with with like the 30-second anti-shock. And you're
Yeah,
like,
the
"Oh my God."
G-Shock or something.
G-Shock, yeah.
I remember those. Yeah.
And those were around for. Do you remember the like when they came out with like the 10-disc changers for your car?
They like was it like a thick?
Yeah,
thing?
it was like a thick like thing that you could like slide in.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
like now you could have like 5 or 10 CDs.
Yeah, and sometimes you could you had it in
You
the
had
trunk.
it in the trunk, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and that all changed pretty quick.
Yeah.
It went from there to like MP3s.
Yeah.
And
But like one thing about CDs was that once I started getting CDs, I loved it because you could just skip songs without like. Remember, like with tapes, you had to like rewind and
fast
like
forward.
wait.
Yeah.
Like with CDs, it was just like, oh man, I could. But it took a long time to. Then when I got into it, I was like, oh, I like this, but I still missed tapes. So
yeah, because even when CDs first came out, the technology wasn't as good yet, so they're a lot easier to scratch.
Yeah.
So you'd have a CD, and you'd have like, for myself, I was when the CDs really started coming full stride in like the late 90s. I was about 10 in 94. I was 10. And you always had like, I had a big family, right? So there's always that one sibling that if you saw them with a CD in your hand, you'd like have like a nervous breakdown because you knew if they had that CD for more than 20 minutes on them that they'd scratch the shit out of it because they were just an idiot.
Yeah.
And then you'd have the CD. Remember the skipping of the CD?
Oh yeah.
Just like
Fuck, I hated that.
yeah.
I hated that. Yeah.
So there are pros to the technology, mostly pros. Just the lack of nostalgia that we're obviously going through right now.
Good days.
So all the time that I've known you, and everyone that I know knows you as Dule. Dule is not your real name, is it?
Dule, it's kind of my nickname.
Yeah.
My full name is Moreu Dule.
Right.
Yeah. So it's taken from like Moreu Dule. Dule is taken from Moreu Dule. So it's a nickname I've known since I was born. Like people, everybody called me Dule, but on paper, I'm Moreu Dule. Thelonius Dule Mthombeni.
Thelonius? Is Thelonius your first name?
Yeah, Moreu Dule is my middle name, and Mthombeni.
So you go by your middle name?
Yeah.
You've gone by your middle name your whole life?
Yeah, my whole life, yes.
Yeah. Is that any specific reason?
Short, simple. Yeah. And just my grandma called me Dule.
It's always the grandma.
Yeah.
It's always the grandma. My sister's name is Kimberly Rose, but no one except for my dad calls her Kimberly. She goes by Rosie. She's gone by Rosie her entire life, and it was our grandmother, or maybe even our great grandmother when she was born. My grandmother was like, "No, I've already got a Kim," because my aunt's name is Kim. She's like, "I've already got a Kim. She's Rosie." So it's always the grandmother who changes the name after the fact. It's like, I'm calling him this.
Yeah. So that's what I go by.
Yeah.
And,
do you still have family in Johannesburg?
Yes.
And you're actually taking a trip there soon, aren't you?
Yes, I'm going to South Africa February 27th.
Do you go back often?
Yeah, I was going every year before the pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic kind of like shot everybody in the foot there.
Yeah, it did big time.
Is this your first time since the pandemic?
Yes.
Going back?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Looking forward to it. I've met a lot of people on social media that I am looking forward to, like meeting them in person. Like a lot of photographers, a lot of artists, So can't wait to like actually meet them in person. So yeah. Looking forward to that. See my mom, my sister, my relatives. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
You connect with some. You've met them specifically on social media. Like
yes.
Different like DJs and
Yeah, DJs and
Photographers, things like that.
photographers. Yeah.
How'd you get your start with photography?
Well, actually, a friend of mine took a photo of me probably about 10 years ago. And I've always taken photos. But like this photo that a friend of mine took, it was like with lighting in a kind of like a studio space, white wall. And it was so clean. And I was just like, I have to take photos like this. This was 10 years ago. And I totally forgot about it. And every time I saw that photo, I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Finally, about 5 years ago, I got myself a camera and I was like, okay, I got to do this. I started taking photos and I started collecting lights, modifiers and started taking photos with strobes and stuff like that. So,
is it what's it like sort of stumbling on something? Most people, you talk to people who have careers in music or careers in artistry or in art or anything really. I think what most commonly people find them or come to them quite young, and then they just end up doing the same thing for the rest of their life. But I'm always really, I always think it really neat when people stumble upon things that they're really passionate about when they're grown-ups. And being, you've had at this point in your life, you say 10 years ago, at this point in your life, you had done so many things. You had worked in film, you had DJ'd, you had lived in Calgary, you lived here. And then stumbling upon photography, after all of that, what's the experience like of devoting yourself to something like post 40 that you're really passionate about?
Oh man, it's refreshing, you know what I mean? Like it's just doing something different, doing something new and learning. It's such a good thing for the brain and for the mind, like body and soul. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's good. I like it.
I think I really admire that because I think we live in a culture where we're very much obsessed with youth. You look at again, circling back around to the film industry, you turn on the television or turn on Netflix or any of the streaming platforms, and any of the new shows are it's 17 to 25-year-old superheroes, right? And it's like everything it's all about like misguided youth or youth. And not to say that hasn't always been a trope of cinema, but I think it's very, especially when you're in school, they tell you you have to have everything figured out by the time you're 21, right? Or 18, right? Because you got to know what school you're going to go to. You got to know what career you're going to pick. You got to have everything planned out and mapped out. So, if there's a question attached to that, I guess it would be: do you find, have you found yourself coming up against that obsession with the culture of super young youth in your career? Searching and finding passion in things in your 40s.
I'm pretty youthful.
Yeah.
I'm really youthful. So I find myself competing really good with young people, young ideas, and I'm just as good as them, or even better. I would say I'm youthful and wiser when it comes to, you
got good ideas, but you're not an idiot.
Yeah. And I find myself, I think I'm youthful. My ideas are youthful. I have, my mentors are younger than me.
Yeah.
I have older mentors, but most of my mentors are younger than me. So I think my youthful and having young people to look up to in photography is a good thing, as an older person.
Right.
Yeah. I should say older person, but.
Well, I mean, it's also I think it's really, really neat to be able to do that to be able to like, because age is just so often it's there's too much focus on it. There's too much focus on, oh, how old are you? Are you too young to do this? Are you too old to do that? Are you too young to start that? Are you too old to reinvent yourself? Are you this? There's really no reason why any of that should exist. I think that's an outside influence from media and culture that tells us those things. So to be able to be in a position where you're finding yourself able to look up to people that are younger than you because they have more experience, I think that speaks to that wisdom that you're talking about.
They don't have the experience. They just have newer ideas, like newer, because of the technology they have now. It's just they have newer ideas. They have so I'm mixing the new ideas with my experience in life. You know what I mean? Yeah, like the youthful ideas and with my experience in life. So
I find myself, I because you mentioned technology, and I struggle with technology.
yeah,
How did you? I guess because you were sort of attached to the world as all the technology was progressing. So like you saw it all happen. You watched the switch from vinyl to cassettes being like the main source of consumption for music media. You watched that switch go to CDs. You watched that switch go to MP3s and then digital and then beyond
back to vinyl.
back to the full circle.
Yeah.
Do you find that having been sort of present and a part of that world through all of those transitions gives you sort of a leg up on understanding the growth of technology and how it progresses?
Yes. Like actually, my father was a photographer as well, but not like seriously. Just at home, he had a analog camera. So seeing that, and I studied in film. I went to film school, right? And I started back home with a camcorder. That was my camera. That I had a camcorder everywhere.
Like the old school camcorder. It was like that big with the little eye socket thing. That you I remember those.
And then I had like this really really small one. I used to like carry it around, and so I saw that change too. I saw that change from analog to like.
To digital in the camera.
Then I went to the video route. Then I went to film school. Then from film school, then I got myself a digital camera, and then I started doing video with a DSLR. Then from there, I went into like photography. So I've kind of saw the technology. I kind of did. I wasn't.
You rode the wave.
Yeah, I rode the wave.
Yeah.
From video into photography, like that. Yeah.
Do you looking back on your career with video and with photography? Do you have I guess favorite toys that you remember working with, like favorite like eras of that? Like were there things about analog that you liked more than digital? Were there things about digital that you liked more than analog? Is there something that you miss that is no longer used, or is it all for the better?
No, not really, because I was never really into analog photography before. I just knew about it because my father he had a camera, and I just didn't take photos with film. All I knew is that it just took forever to get the photos back, so I never really got into that, but I knew about it. Then I went to video. And now I don't do video at all. I refuse to do video, so I don't miss. Like, there's nothing that I miss So straight from video, I went into like digital photography. So I no, there's nothing I miss about like the old technology when it comes to photography.
And what about with music?
What I miss about I just miss the art of making mixtapes.
Yeah. So do I, man.
Yeah. I miss the art of making mixtapes, and I miss back in South Africa. The radio station was so good, and I think like even here, I did the same thing where we listened to the radio
record
and you
off the radio,
You knew when the song is gonna come up, and you just record it so that you have it right again, and you press stop at the end of the song, and if you like the next song, you record it again. So I miss that, and I used to have watch music videos and record them on VHS.
Back in South Africa?
Back here, like when I was here.
Like Much Music?
Rap City.
Yeah. Did you guys, because I grew up in the U.S. Until I was a teenager. Did you guys get VH1 up here?
No, we didn't.
Do you remember pop-up video?
No.
Pop-up video.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it was like they showed the video and then they just had like these little like pop-ups. They looked they actually looked like text messages. They'd pop up on the screen and show you weird little facts about the only thing that I can remember. There's a lot because every once in a while a song will come on from like the late 80s or early 90s, and I'll instantly remember 3 like randomly weird facts.
Oh yeah,
about that video or that artist or whatever.
Yeah.
That are otherwise just forgotten in the recesses of my brain, but that's all learned from pop-up video.
Oh yeah.
But the one that I always remember, and I don't know why I've always remembered, but I think it's hilarious. And it's the Lionel Richie song, the video for the Lionel Richie song, "Dancing on the Ceiling."
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that video?
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Oh, what a feeling! Dancing on the ceiling.
Yeah.
When you get a chance, watch that video again, and there are like 0 shots of Lionel Richie from the waist down when he's doing any of the group choreography.
Yeah.
Because he apparently couldn't learn the choreography. He was such a bad dancer. The only way that they recorded all of the group choreography shots are just from him from the waist up because he could not figure out the choreography at all. And I miss pop-up video. Pop-up video was good times.
One of the things, I had a friend that lived in Baltimore, and he would record all like, because sometimes we didn't get some of the music that like they'd get some music first in the US, then we get it like here a couple months later or like maybe a month later. So our friend would go to New York, like Baltimore, and record all the songs and
on the radio in Baltimore.
Then when he came back, just like listen to the tapes, and that was cool.
I remember recording. Did you ever do this? I remember recording they'd do like a radio top 20. And I would record the whole thing. So I could listen to the top 20.
That was fun.
Is there like specifically with photography, because it's such a quickly growing, fastly growing, I'll say technological market. Like the advances in photography in the last 10 years alone people have been taking fantastic pictures for a century. But what you can do with like say an iPhone now is just, you couldn't do that with the best camera in the world 50 years ago. Less than that, maybe. I'm leaving that margin really, really big because I know virtually nothing about photography. Are there facets of that growing technology that are really exciting to you? Like things that you foresee yourself being able to do with a camera in 10 years and 15 years that you can't do now, or that what you do now with a camera this big, can you do it with a camera this big later? I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, I don't understand.
Are there, if you think about like what a camera could do 20 years ago and what a camera could do now, is there anything about what a camera might be able to do in 20 years that you're excited about?
I think right now camera technology is good. I don't want it to be better than this because I got the feeling what would happen, it would make it so easy to
It'd be like the art of the mixtape.
Yeah. Everybody can just pick up a camera and just know the menu and just do what. Like, it's so hard now, but like in the future, it'll be just so easy. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, I don't have to do that. Back in the days, you guys used to have to do all these other things. Now there's shortcuts to all that. I don't want it to be that easy. You know what I mean?
I do. I can guarantee you, however, you can take comfort in this. No matter how good they make the cameras, I will never be good at taking photos.
You never know. You never know. You never know.
Where do you see the music industry going in terms of everything happens in fads, right? If you look back on the fads of the music industry, you had like the doo-wop bands of the 50s, and then you had the punk bands in the 80s essentially playing the same exact chord structures. And then you had you had Kool Moe Dee and then LL Cool J and then technology-wise with vinyl and cassettes and CDs and then MP3s, and now it was about 10 years ago, I think, all the Spotify came out, maybe a little bit less. That platform being the main way that we consume music. What do you think do you think we're going to consume music differently than we do now as time progresses?
Yes, I do. I think it's going to be different. Actually, it has started already with TikTok. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Musicians are discovered on TikTok nowadays, and really they don't have to do anything. So
they don't have to play a whole song.
Yeah. They don't have to be talented or anything like that. So I think it's really gonna change to the worst. But there's still gonna be underground.
Right.
Underground, good artists but like the really poppy stuff or the really famous musicians in probably 20 years are just gonna be discovered from TikTok or
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it'll remove the need for talent scouts.
Yeah. So I think it's going to change, but there's always going to be an underground movement of artists that are just going to be still releasing good music, but it's not going to be known. You just have to source it out, So it's going to get really bad, but there's still going to be some.
I think it's always been like that too, right? And I think one of the things I love about the way that we as a society consume music is the top 40 trash of today will be the nostalgia of tomorrow. Like I remember the first time I someone played, and I say trash. I don't really mean that because I'm a total pop junkie. I love pop music. But there's a different way that we obviously we have a different feeling and sense of worth in cultural value when we hear Nina Simone as opposed to when we hear New Kids on the Block, right? They're two different things.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I heard someone do like a Britney Spears cover at Guilt and Company.
Yeah.
And it was probably 10 years ago, but it was far enough away from when she was on the
charts.
top 40 radio and on the charts that it was fun and kitschy, and they did like, I think it was probably Trilogy that did it.
Yeah.
And then just the other night, and it made me feel really old. Just the other night, the band on Saturday night, I think it was Kate Yon, she ended her set with a 15-minute Taylor Swift medley.
Oh yeah.
And everybody loved it.
Yeah,
and I think it's kind of like that. Pop music is like respectable when it's 10 to 20 years old. Then it's like, yeah, it's respectable now.
Yeah. I find myself listening. Well, I don't go out of my way to listen to like shit that I hated back in the days. If I hear it, I'm like, oh, I used to hate that song, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go buy it, but
well, it's because it's formulaic, right?
Yeah. And I just think it's some of the stuff like Ja Rule. I hated Ja Rule back then. And, when I hear Ja Rule now, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember this. I would find myself knowing the lyrics because it was everywhere. But I'm like, okay, I'd rather listen to Ja Rule than like some of the new stuff that's out right now. And I'm okay. If I was stuck in an island and they had asked me if I wanted to listen to new music and listen to like Ja Rule and like all the music that I hated back in the 2000, I'd be like, all right, I'll go to like the.
I'll go to that. Yeah. Do you, just because you said it, I'm going to ask one of the cheesy questions. Do you have a desert island album?
Desert Island, what's that?
Your Desert Island, you got one album.
Oh, Desert Island, just like
what album do you take?
Erykah Badu's Mama's Gone.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I have a lot.
Yeah.
But like, that's like.
Do you miss the album in terms of like because no one really consumes music by album anymore, right? Because it's all, you mentioned it yourself. It's TikTok or like songs. But I remember going to the record store or CD store and buying the album, and then I would go home and listen to the entire album. You'd go and you'd buy like 3 or 4 CDs or tapes or whatever it was. And you'd go home and you'd listen to them back to back. You just sit there. I would just sit there in my room and listen to like all 3 albums back to back.
Yeah.
Like very, very rarely could I afford more than 3 at once.
Yeah.
Do you miss that being a way that music is consumed?
Yes and no.
And do you still consume music that way?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy now to not listen to. So back in the days, I wasted a lot of money. I would buy.
Don't say wasted.
Well,
those are investments.
No, I should. But I just found myself buying. I liked B-sides.
Right. Yeah.
So I would buy an album for maybe 2 or 3 songs, and I was just like, oh man, the rest of the song is not like the rest of the album is not
just
good.
Filler. Yeah.
But then there were like some B-sides that I liked. That I wasn't, when I bought like a pop, more like a poppy album, I wouldn't listen to the songs that were on the radio. I'll listen to the B-sides. Like the 3rd, 4th song that was good. I like those songs, not the ones that were on the radio. So I kind of missed that part of consuming music like that. But nowadays, it's so easy to hear a song and just get that one song and not really listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
Because like if I wanted a song, I'll just be like, oh, I like that song. And I'll just skip through the the other songs, I'd be like, oh, like a minute, not even a minute.
If it doesn't grab you within the first 30 seconds, you're like, skip.
Then later on, I discovered that, oh, this song was on that album. I just missed it because I did not listen to the whole thing. So, yes and no. I miss listening to the whole album because when you get a tape, you are forced to like listen to the whole thing. And one thing I hated about that is that I would buy an album for one or two songs. So nowadays, it's easy to just
you just listen to the ones. Yeah. What are you? Is there anything? What are you listening to right now?
I really like Salt.
Yeah.
I'm listening to like old school. I'm really excited about listening to getting back into De La Soul.
Yeah.
Because they're releasing the old albums because they were like in a.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know because you couldn't stream De La Soul for like years and years.
Yeah, there was another. There's a couple big acts that you can't stream. That aren't on any of the platforms.
Yeah, so they were having battles with the label, but they just I think they won. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they are finally they own their own masters now, so they're gonna slowly release the album. So I'm kind of excited to be able to stream De La Soul.
I always feel super guilty when I go to listen to an artist and it's like it's on Spotify or YouTube or Apple Music or any of those things, and I can't find them, and I'm like, the shit, fucking it's 2023 and I can't fucking find what I want in 30 seconds, and then I'm like, oh, well, the reason I can't find that is probably because the band is embroiled in some legal battle with the studio that's probably trying to fuck them. And so I'm like kind of like that me now total just instant gratification in our culture. But then you take a step back and you're like, wait a minute, maybe they stuck it to the man, and that's pretty cool.
True. I really appreciate what they did. And now I just miss them more. I have that stuff, some of it on vinyl, but not all of it.
Yeah.
So when I miss them, I'll go dig out the records and play them. But it'd be nice to just like listen to it on a road trip, listen to the whole album on a whole road trip. Yeah.
How often do you pull your records out at home and listen to them?
Oh man, not often. Not often.
Just when you're trying to impress somebody.
Yeah, or when I'm just chilling and when I feel like just listen to them, I'll pull them out, I mostly listen to, I still buy vinyl. But not a lot.
Yeah, I find myself buying it at concerts.
Yeah, same.
Because I'm like, I want to support you because I know that like the streaming platforms don't pay you guys that well, and that's But I don't want a fucking t-shirt because I'm probably just gonna get too fat to wear it, or it's gonna shrink. It's not gonna fit well. We know you make them cheap. But like buying a vinyl, I feel like I'm supporting music and I'm supporting an artist when I buy a vinyl.
So
at the show, right? You don't want to buy a vinyl on Amazon because I'm just paying Bezos to build a penis-shaped rocket ship. Let's do that.
So I buy vinyl as well, and I'll get home, I'll be excited, and I'll play it. Then I'll play it again, then I put it away.
Then you put it away. Just then I'm adds to the collection.
Then I'm like, okay. And then I'll listen to it on on Spotify or something.
When you buy the album on vinyl, and you're like, oh, I bought this album on vinyl. I can't wait to hear it. Oh, it's on Spotify. Vinyl sits in its plastic for 3 months.
I don't know why I do that, but it's just I have to have it. I have to have a copy of it, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Support,
it used to be such a tangible thing. Experience. I think that's something. I interested to hear your thoughts on it, because I always felt like it's something that's missing in the way that we consume music now. Because there used to be a tangible experience. You would, either you'd go to a concert and you would buy, you bought a ticket for the show when you went to see a band, which we still do, but there you would buy their CD, or you buy their album, or you'd go to a record store and you'd peruse the store for hours, flipping through, because you could, you had to buy what you wanted to listen to. And as much as I love having the level of library at my fingertips, that experience of like rifling through different artists and being like, no, I'm gonna spend my $60 on this. Like I've got this much money, and $60 20 years ago could probably get you 3 CDs, right? And so you're like, I'm gonna spend my $60 on these 3 artists, and it was an investment, and you had like this tangible thing, and it was a package that was created by those musicians. There was a team of artists that went into creating the album artwork. They printed the lyrics. Did they not print the lyrics? There was, so much that went into the production of that album, and it was there for you to buy and support and consume. And it was, obviously so much of that money was going to the record companies. But I think that that's something that I miss about the way that we used to exist with music. Now it's just there and it's easy, and I don't think I think people have to go the extra mile to think about musicians as people that need to be paid, or just the overall package. Just in closing here, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you mentioned photography very early on as that being like your direction, your passion. Do you have specific goals moving forward with that? Like,
to exhibit my work, put it in galleries. That's my goal, and get paid for doing it. Getting paid a lot of money to do that.
I love that. That's such just every person that's involved in the arts in any way is like, I just really want to like show my stuff. I want to get fucking paid, man. Yeah. Like I want to get paid for this shit.
Like I think, like if I could do that and have like my pay would be like taking for headshots for people, that would be perfect, because I can do that as my money, my income, and then my art being like portraits, So
awesome. Well, once again, I want to plug your exhibit that you have at Calabash. Calabash is a fantastic joint. It's on Carroll Street in between Pender and Hastings, right? Between Pender and Hastings. Jule's work is going to be up there for the next few months. You can hear Dule DJing at Guilt & Company three nights a week. He's there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And thanks for coming. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been nice.
Cheers, my friend.
Yeah, cheers.